Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins?
Here.
Coffee?
Here.
Kelly?
Here.
McKinley? Tesori?
Yes.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have one public comments this evening. Renee, you have the floor.
I'm going to be really nervous at first, you know that from seeing me in another meeting. My name is Renee Dunham. I'm the track operator for the BMX track here in town. I've been in charge of that place for the last, well, this is the 6th year now. There's a couple of things that I want to address on my little receipt here. When the park was originally built many moons ago, Dale Cox was one of the people that was actually instrumental in making that happen. In the agreement that was made at that time, water lines were put in throughout the park. One of the things that was supposed to happen is that the BMX track was supposed to have water hooked up to there. That has never happened in 30 years. 30 years next year, actually. We do have the spigot. We have everything set up. It's next to our shed there. We did speak to someone, I don't know if it was last year or not, I believe from the water department. They said they would not turn the water on. And I'm here to ask today that that be reconsidered. I think that there might be a misconception about the amount of water that we use at the track right now. The pump that we have is a gas-powered pump that we actually carry down to the creek and hook up to water lines that are already existing. The pump that we use basically pumps about 165 gallons a minute. That seems like an awful lot, but if you think about how much water an average family of 4 that has, you know, 2 teenagers that are constantly needing their clothes washed and a pool in the backyard, it's really not much more than that. We on the average take maybe 10-15 minutes every Saturday, if it's been really dry out, to water the track down. And that's done for safety reasons, because the dirt out there is so old. It was built on top of a brick foundry, if I recall correctly. Scott can say that. But it's got a lot of silt on top, so in order to make it safe for our riders, we have to water it every single week that we're out there. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, sometimes it takes maybe 5 or 10 minutes. The only additional time that we would need to water it is if we need to spray the turns, and that's where something has come loose because you have a lot of people that are riding their bikes on there. So I would like to ask that it be reconsidered. I would think it would be extremely beneficial for us and save us a lot of time to actually get the water hooked up, because it already feeds into everything else that is already hooked up out there. The only thing that we are doing when we go to the creek is to add a fireman, or not a fireman's hose, a blue flexible hose that hooks into the existing pipeline. So that just needs to be blocked off. It just, you know, we would turn it on when we need it, turn it off when we're done. Nobody else out there would use it, basically, except for us. I don't want to be the person that goes and hooks up to the fire hydrant and waters things for way longer than what we would need to do. So that's one thing I want to mention, and I know I only have 5 minutes, I'm hurrying. The other thing is, prior to Larry leaving, we had discussed to some extent about trying to find some lights that we could replace at the track. The lights that we have are well over 20 years old. Larry had mentioned to me, and I hope that this council will honor this, that a grant had been applied for to repair a roof to a pavilion. And then I saw in the city council minutes that an approval had been given to start the repairs on that. So when I asked him about that, he said, yes, it had been done. The money that we have allocated for that, we would like to use a good portion of that to replace some of your lights. Lights are a safety issue to me, especially when we are running races later in the summer or even in the early fall when it starts to get darker outside. Right now, to replace the bulbs in the lights, it costs the city about $45 per light to do that. When I spoke to some other sports people at the park, they said, well, they come and replace our lights all the time, so, you know, that isn't something that you should be concerned about. So that's one thing that I need to bring up. The last thing is, I just want to make the city aware that on July 22nd and July 23rd, we have been very fortunate to receive a regional championship race. It is for the North Central, like if you divide the United States up in 3 and then cut it across, we're representing the entire North Central U.S. in this race. Last year we had 200 riders that showed up for our state qualifier, and it brought close to 750 people into this town on one day. When we have the regional race on Saturday, we have our state qualifier the very next day. So I expect us to have a huge turnout on this. And it would not surprise me if we have over 1,000 people in South Park. Last year for the state qualifier race, we had people that utilized the campground. They were very excited to hear that that finally got done. We had a lot of RVs that came in. We basically had 3/4 of all the parking in the park used by the people that came to our event. So I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm pretty proud of this, and this year's going to be a great year for us. So my two things that I'm more concerned about is the water issue. Of course, I would like to have it for free, but I understand that that's not possible. We have not asked from the city for anything, except for one time, which was to cover half the cost of a commercial that we did for an Olympic Day. And it was on Nickelodeon and all the kids' channels during the month of June, actually, because Olympic Day is huge all across the country. We pay for our own porta potty. Fortunately, I talked to Knights, and they agreed to give us a huge discount on another dumpster out there, which the city eventually picked up the cost for that. We do all of our own mowing. We were removed from the mowing contract 4 years ago without our knowledge, which was a little disappointing.
If I may,
Yes.
just...
I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
No, it's okay. For the sake of everybody else that comes up, you know, I have to honor that 5-minute time.
I know, I'm-
So, no, it's okay, but you're requesting, just to make sure that I got that the water be hooked up. Calvin is here, so during, I will ask you later on when we get to those reports if you could address that.
And we would even be willing, you know, to pay a prorated share. I mean, what I'm saying is, if you'd like to stay around for the rest of the meeting, I will be asking Calvin about that. Okay.
You know, the possibility of doing that. Your other request to the lights, I'm not saying that's not something that we would not do, but I can say that we would not be able to do it based on the grant that was requested. That grant, and I saw it myself.
I think you misunderstood
Oh,
what
okay.
I said, or maybe I did not come across
Okay.
accurately. What I was told is that if the grant was received by the city,
There'd be
that
additional
grant,
funds that they
then it
could...
would release the funds that were set
Very
aside
good,
to do
very good. That makes
So
a lot of
I needed to
sense.
clarify
All right.
that.
And you said, of course, there was 2 other things. One, obviously the water, you would request that the city pay for that portion. Was there a second thing that you're asking?
No.
Okay, very good.
And I just wanted to clarify about the funds that may be available to help replace the lights.
Very good.
I do have the emails if anybody would like me to forward them. I can do that.
I think that would be nice. That would be nice if you could forward that. So, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Very good.
Sorry I rambled.
No, you're fine. Thank you very much.
I'm making up for never being here.
Let's see. No other public comments. That moves us to section 1, the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Colin?
Jenkins?
Yes.
Coffee?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business, we move on to section 3, new business.
Make a motion that we open the bids for 420 North John Street.
I'll second.
Discussion, we have one bid.
Whoa, before you open that, what was the criteria about bidding for this and everything? Is it just you bid and we take a bid, and if we want to accept that, we accept it,
If
or
we
there's no
do-
minimum?
No, that we can decide right now that we do not want, and I'll refer to Joe, but we can open this bid up and we'll look at it and we can say, we
cannot
reject
open
it.
it up.
Huh?
We cannot open it up, can't we, and refuse it? Can we refuse it?
Can you refuse to even open it?
Yeah.
I guess you could.
Here's my point. We know nothing about that, being new here. This thing has come up, and we put something out for bid, and I'm wondering, how did we bid this? Did we ask for a minimum amount of money we have to have for the property, or we just have somebody bid, put a bid in here?
We didn't.
Because it seems like this has happened in the past on property where maybe we're helping our friends out. And,
Actually, I believe Scott brought this up when we discussed this. The question was, do we want there to be a minimum? And correct me if I'm wrong, yes, sir.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but this is a statutory procedure. And there was a question that Sandy had about, oh, can we change this? And I said, no, you cannot, because this is a statutory procedure about what you must follow. There's another procedure that you can follow that is much more flexible, but that procedure requires you to first obtain an appraisal of the property. Okay, so to address your question is you don't have to accept this bid tonight. There's absolutely nothing that requires that you accept this tonight. You can open it and say, we don't think this is enough, or we don't like it for some reason, and say we're going to reject all bids. There's only one bid, I've just heard. Okay,
Yes.
You can say that. You have the right, absolute right to say that. You can even not decide tonight. This is just simply the bid opening process. And again, it's a statutory process about letting it out for bid under this criteria.
where was this published at?
Here.
How long has it
Okay,
been
the
published?
Clinton Daily Journal.
It has to be, and it
I
has to
understand say what it has to be, but the Clinton Daily Journal, I mean, I never heard anything about this, even from anything I've heard in the past about
It's
it.
published May 16, 17, or 16, 23, and 30.
Whatever, it's been published, that's fine, but, and I guess that the law says it has to be, so it's in the paper that nobody probably gets in this town, and maybe only certain people know about it when it does get published. Would you not disagree with that?
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah. So only certain people are told about this, where it's gonna be at maybe.
The objection I've had in the past is that we've been losing money on these houses.
Yeah,
And now we're looking at one bid. I don't know what the bid's for, but it's a single bid.
that's what I'm looking at too.
And maybe we haven't gone out far enough to get other bids.
That's right, we should go out further, we should have
We
maybe
should
more
go to
flexible.
News Gazette or Panagraph or something.
More flexible and have it where we can sit there and say no, and have a minimum bid they have to come up with. Like you say, appraise the property,
Yeah.
find out how much.
Well, again, you absolutely can bid, you can advertise in more places. There's nothing that prohibits you from advertising in more places. This publication is what's required
Sure.
under the statute.
Joe, I understand that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I understand what has to be published and everything, you do something like this. But, it's just in one paper and then we've got one bid, I think we need to have
I don't think there's
15
anything,
bids sitting here in front
I
of
don't
us.
think there's anything nefarious about this at all. It's just, it was put in the paper where it was.
I just put in the paper, but I also, there's some in the past I've wondered about. I didn't even realize the property's even up for bid. I never even heard anything about it on anything through the council.
It's not promoted well enough.
No, it's not. It is not. You can open it up, but I'm not voting for it.
What do we have invested in this property, do you know, Sandy?
I do not know.
When did we take possession of this property?
Joe?
I can answer that. March 28 is when the Judge Koretz entered an order directing issuance of the judicial deed, and the deed was recorded soon thereafter. I'm looking for it. The deed was recorded March 28, 2017.
There's Brian's right there.
And again, Mayor, if I may, just for clarification, you're not required to accept this bid. You don't have to even vote on it tonight. You can decide, we're not going to vote on it tonight. Or you can vote to reject it. You can do whatever it is the council wants to do. Vote yes, vote no, vote table.
Can we change it to where we get an appraisal of the properties? I mean, can we, like, change the ordinance or whatever?
You can, but that is a different process under a different section of the statute where, and I can go into this in more detail, but where, in essence, you direct staff to get an appraisal of the property, and then you receive the appraisal, and then you have the flexibility of how you go about selling it. It's very flexible. It's almost however you want to do it. Other than you must get at least a certain percentage of the appraisal before you can sell it. Now, I don't remember what that percentage is off the top of my head. I don't recall off the top. It's in the statute. I think it's like 85%, but I could be wrong about that. But that process is very flexible. It's sort of whatever you want to do as far as, that's a slight exaggeration, but it's very flexible. Advertise here, advertise there. You can hold an auction if you want. Very flexible. This process that we followed is not flexible, even so much as the bids must be open at a public city council meeting, believe it or not. So that's why this process is inflexible. The other is very flexible, to answer your question.
Okay, thank you.
So if we vote this down, we can decide what to do next.
I'm sorry.
If we vote this down, we can decide what to do
Can we
next.
change the ordinance, like next meeting or whatever that we have, if we vote this down tonight?
Absolutely. You can vote it down tonight, you could vote to table it, you could vote to accept it. And then, yes, you could say, no, we don't want to go with this process, we prefer the other process, where we get the appraisal. And I can help guide you through that.
Do we need to change the ordinance to do that, or is that?
No, it's up to the council which process you want.
Well, she's mentioned the ordinance 3 times
She's
now.
just saying ordinance because she doesn't know the terminology, I think is the problem.
Right.
All right.
Obviously, we don't need to vote on the bid, we need to vote on the approving the resolution tonight. And it sounds like this is something that
We
we
need to
don't,
make a motion to table that.
well, I would recommend tabling it, it'll be up at the next meeting.
We can decline the bid.
If I may, I do believe it's required that there's a public disclosure of who bid and the minimum terms.
City Council, this is an action to place a sealed bid of $3,500 for the property located at 420 North John Farm City, Illinois, Gary Bullets. No, I wouldn't recommend that we table this. I would recommend that we bring it up for vote, and that would be item number 2. So we would need to bring that to the table second so that we can vote on it.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2017-22, accepting the low bid for the purchase of 420 North John Street.
I need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Coffee?
No.
Kelly?
No.
McKinley?
No.
Testori?
No.
Jenkins?
No.
Motion fails.
Do we need to discuss what we're going to do going forward with this?
That wouldn't be now. That would be non-agenda items and other business. And what we do is, correct me if I'm wrong, we would direct staff to seek an appraisal. And we go that route, correct?
If that's the decision, when you get to that point, that's one of your options, yes.
Very good.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2017-23, approving the donation for the Pike County Senior Citizens Transportation in the amount of $1,000.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Where do these funds come from? I guess that's the question I have.
General fund.
General fund.
Stabilization.
Has it always come out of general fund for this?
Yes.
I think we've donated this in the past, correct?
Yeah. Do you know how many seniors we have in this community that use it? 1, 2, maybe 3?
No, Sharon said before the bus is full, I mean, time to put the sign-up sheets, it's full.
That's good enough for me.
Do we have like a balance in our general fund? Or do you know what is it what's on this sheet?
I think the financial report is through April 30th.
So the period actual? is what it is?
Actual year to date, yes.
So year-to-date actual.
That's what it should be, yes.
There's no doubt the general fund has money to cover it.
Correct.
Any further discussion?
I think that's a pretty good thing. Yeah, they gotta get their groceries. They take them to Clinton, correct?
Take them,
Anywhere.
Anywhere they wanna go.
it's like a field trip.
Once a week or how often do they do it? Once a month?
Call it.
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Colvin,
Yes.
motion carried.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2017-24, accepting the bid from Stark Excavating for the Prairie Ridge Detention Basin drain tile in the amount of $24,704.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Where's it at? It's in that subdivision, but I don't think that people out there really want to see
Is this
it.
where like the park is supposed to go? or-
Yeah.
Okay. And this,
This goes from one tile to the next out there on that property.
The property behind the doctor's office where the water tends to stand.
yeah. So is this being done for the purpose of the park? No, just for
So,
flow
release
of
the
the water.
flow of water.
It benefits the park, but it also gets rid of the water.
This is like definitely our problem, right? For sure, city problem.
Correct.
And like building that property up wouldn't help with the water if we built up the, it seems like, I mean, it's
That's why
real.
That's kind of why it's there. It didn't have a really a good place to drain to, like red. That's the lowest point of all there.
So what are they gonna do? They're gonna put a basin in there, we're gonna hold water there, we're gonna...
My understanding is there'll be some sort of, I mean, obviously there's a basin, but the original plans had
The original ones, I think, had a tile going under there and then
with a couple legs.
a stair-step concrete gutter across it to handle overflow water.
I do believe that was a bid sheet. Yeah, that went out into the bid sheets. So installation of approximately 575 feet of 8-inch drain tile within Prairie Ridge Detention Basin. Installation will include bedding of pipe and A4 riprap. Seedling and proper erosion control shall be included.
Is that the
So everything's gonna be
Yes.
underground?
This,
That's
Yeah.
what I want to see. Yes, it will be underground.
good sheet with the specifications.
Yeah, I think this is where it comes in.
Comes in the recent round.
Yeah.
Across there.
Anybody else want to see that?
We have one
Yeah,
there.
yeah, one there.
Did Farnsworth engineer this?
I do believe so.
I mean, they're on the side of this.
Have the people of the subdivision said anything about this? Or care to say?
They wanted the water gone for a long time.
Well, that's true, but is it?
It's not too bad until we get a lot of rain.
No, I don't realize it's.
Yeah.
It's a little bit.
Yeah, it's a mess out there for sure. I went out there and saw it. I mean, I just motion to table this for right now, just because I would like to know a little bit more about it. This is the first I've ever seen any of this, so if we could just maybe table it and
Second.
next week.
Any discussion on tabling it?
I guess what do you want for information?
I mean, I kind of want to talk to the people out at the subdivision. I just want to get a little bit of their opinion, because I've had a lot of people in the subdivision approaching me about the whole situation out there. They don't love the park idea, they, it's taken a long time, and at the beginning, 10, 12 years ago, they liked the park idea, but now they don't love it. So I just would like to hear what they have to say about this, see what their input is on it. I mean, they have to live out there, so I just want to make sure that this is something they feel is.
Well, I think that would help where the park's gonna go. You're not gonna have all that excess water sitting around, mosquitoes, all
Right.
that stuff.
And
Whether the park goes there or not, this is something that has to be done to correct the drainage problem for some of the residents near this property. This can still be done in the park, can.
I mean, I don't know, I feel like
I'm not saying it doesn't have to be done, but I think we both come at this thing pretty blind and not know anything about it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think another 2 weeks isn't going to be the end of the world, so.
Oh, you're right, it will not be the end of the world.
I'd just like to talk to some people out there, that's all.
Sure.
Nothing more.
I just didn't know if you were looking at more like the plans that.
No, I just want to ask, maybe go out there one more time. I've only been out there really one time, so maybe just take this and kind of better understand, I guess.
any other discussion on tabling it? There is a correction that needs to be made on this resolution. It says, third line down, whereas bids were opened at 1 p.m. May 16, 2017, with 6 bids. Low bid was received by Stark in the amount of $24,704. Then you jump down to second. It says that the City of Farmer City accepting the bid of $27,704. So there's a $3,000 discrepancy there, so it's either 27 or 24. I'd like that corrected before, because we vote on that. But we're about ready to vote on tabling it. Call it.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Nope.
Coffee?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Motion carried. 24,704.
Is it 27,704?
24,704.
Got it. Thank you. I just noticed that, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2017-25, authorizing the outdoor summer movie committee extending the park hours during movie nights.
Second.
Discussion.
I have Mike Madden here to explain it, if you'd like to hear the explanation.
Sure.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michael Madden, and About a month or so ago, Scott Testori came to me and was talking about this idea that he had and had been trying to get off the ground for some outdoor summer movies. Basically, an opportunity for the community to come together for a free, fun event. So we've been working with local businesses trying to get the cost of that event covered because we have to pay for the licensing to play the movie outdoors. We want to provide the food for free as well. So we're not asking the city for any money. What we're asking the city for is the first movie is going to be actually this Saturday, June 10th. That's going to be at the Farmer City Fairgrounds. So we're not requesting anything for that date. But the second and third movies, July 8th and August 12th, we're requesting to use Weedman and South Park for that to show the movie out there. So my understanding is that we have to ask for the hours to be extended so we could show the movie at dark.
Any questions? And this is for the entire series, right?
Yes, this would be, the July 8th and August 12th would be the last 2 dates. The first one's at the fairgrounds.
We're not using both parks at the same time, it's one or the other. One at a time. It's basically to highlight different areas in the community. If it goes off well this year we can plan next year to highlight other areas of the community.
Sounds good. Any further discussion? Colin?
Testori,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes?
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
motion carried.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 981, 2017 prevailing wage ordinances.
Discussion?
Routine. Keep doing every year.
No, don't have that.
Roll call?
Jenkins,
Yes.
Coffee,
Yes?
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Testori,
Yes.
motion carried.
We'll move to the city manager's report. Are there any questions? This will include any of the reports by the department heads.
Well, one thing I did note that's been interesting, in the EPA report,
Sam?
is that
Is it right?
I guess for one thing, I noticed that unpermitted line was put on, I guess it was north of the railroad tracks there on Front Street. But the other thing is attachment B, number 2. It said, before the water audit by comparing the amount of water pumped from the treatment plant with the amount of water billed to the individual meters. I think that's one thing I brought up in the past, that I'd like to see that. I think that's something we should know, and they only looked at 15% loss or less. I'm curious to what our loss is. Can you tell me that now, Calvin, or is that catching you in the wrong place?
No, sir, I cannot tell you that at this time.
I think that's something you should know.
Yeah.
You should know that every month, how much of a loss we have and how much of an annual loss we have, because that, to me, that's very important.
I cannot disagree with that.
Outside of that, I thank all of you. I thank you all for your reports that you did give to us and everything. I think that's a good thing. I know when I work for companies, they've asked for reports every month, you know, that's what you do, and so it's a good thing. No problem.
That's all I got.
Calvin, we had-
Wait a minute, I have something.
You did.
This is on Calvin's report with the sludge pump. It's kind of an important one, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't this one we approved last meeting?
We did approve it, but they also got a price on a replacement unit, correct?
That's correct.
Calvin, you said that if the replacement pump or the repaired pump goes down, there's basically little to no warranty, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yep. And I don't know that there's a warranty on the new pump as well, you know, maybe a year or something like that. But it's small, but the price differential was big. I honestly did not believe that, you know, the council was really looking forward to putting a new pump. And if you look at some of my reports there, we rebuilt the lift station on Lincoln Street this last week, which was approved on December 5th. So we've spent a little bit of money there. If you look at that, that was a $13,000 expense that you guys might not have been looking at the budget. So stuff all adds up.
So is the rebuild good with you, or is the new pump the way to go?
I'm always for a new pump. You know, that's what I would say. But
I mean, the pump that is currently in use, that is, you know, broken technically right now, has lasted since, when did we get that?
I don't know for sure when that pump was put in. You know, the sewer plant was rebuilt in 1987, so it would at least be that old. I mean, there was some numbers thrown around about 1956. You know, I've only been here 3 years, so I don't know when they put that in there. The pump is in bad condition, throws a lot of sludge around. We keep repacking it, and every time we repack it, it's $100 when we repack it, and in a good day's work. So.
And what's the fix gonna do, the one that was approved? Like the $7,000 fix, I mean, what is that essentially doing? What are we paying for?
That repacks it, that puts new bearings on, new shaft. There's a lot of implements that, but if he tears it down and he finds that the stuffing box is bad, then there could be some additional costs, is where the problem lies there. So, well, I was wondering.
Well, what's the right thing to do for the taxpayers? That's the question.
You guys have a limited amount of budget, so, I mean, I have an endless list of things that need repaired at the sewer plant. You know, I have aerators and stuff like that. So I don't have the answer to that. What's the best thing for the taxpayers? But
Is a new pump high priority on your list compared to your other?
that pump needs fixed one way or the other. Every day the sludge builds up in that tank. It's thicker and thicker and thicker. And eventually it's going to start washing into the Salt Creek. So how are the way, you know?
I'm not sure I'm getting a clear answer.
I think last meeting, I think we made a mistake and didn't do
We
it.
should have had, yeah.
You gotta pull the trigger on something like this.
I love new pumps. They all usually malfunction. Rebuilt pumps, sometimes they're great. This thing is set in concrete. I invited some of you guys out there to take a look at it, but I didn't get anybody to come and look at it.
I will.
I'm not sure I got that invitation.
Sorry.
No, I talked to you about it and everything afterwards, and you said come out, and I just haven't had the time every day. I can't get there, but I will try to do that maybe this week.
And you're not gonna see a whole one. I mean, you're gonna see a tore up pump that doesn't work well and shoots crap everywhere. But can't be rebuilt.
So we need to put this back on the agenda?
This thing can't keep on waiting.
I think so.
Okay.
Right, I mean. I don't know
We
if
can't keep on waiting with
it.
this. Eventually, the sludge that's building up in the primary settling tank is going to start washing through the system, and then we'll fail tests.
And if I understood this last meeting, we can approve this tonight and you can write the resolution after the fact?
I don't believe you can.
No, it's not on
You
the
can't do
agenda.
that.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay.
These 2 more weeks.
Even if it falls under non-agenda items?
No, it's not an action item.
Okay.
Now,
I think this is the right thing.
Sandy, have you already posted for the special meeting? Because you could add it to the special meeting agenda as long as it's more than 48 hours before that.
I can go back and do it, because I'll still have the 48 hours.
Yeah, for next Monday, next meeting. You could do that, or the council could do that. There's time to do that for next Monday.
When I talked to Cox Electric, who are the people that rebuild our pumps and do those things, you know, he thought he can get a pretty good rebuild out of it. But he wasn't 100% sure once he dug into it, you know. As you tear pumps apart, and you guys do this stuff, you know, as the piston scored, you know, things you can't see when you tear it apart that add cost.
You could turn $7,000 or $8,000 into $12,000 or $13,000. I understand that. Working with pumps, I mean, that's.
At the same time, I've worked with Cox before, he'll tell you if it's junk right when you bring it in the door. He doesn't waste a lot of
Well,
money.
this isn't something they're taking off. This has got to come out with a crane, correct?
Yeah,
It's not
they'll come in there and tear it apart, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, to put a new one in
I'm
there
not
is
supposed to
good.
do a new one. It just,
I'm not either, because I know what they can get into once they tear it in.
It's a piston pump, it's an old style pump, it has packing, has an 11-inch, you know.
Okay, you say it's a piston pump, what would it be? Peristaltic?
Just very same thing.
It'd be another piston pump.
It would be the very same thing, identical, bolt on, that's part of it. If you got into a new style pump, then you would be taking the check valves off and the pressure canisters and that kind of stuff, so.
So a new style, you say a new style pump, what's a new style pump?
A
A
peristaltic.
peristaltic pump?
Yeah.
Would a peristaltic pump be a better pump?
That's
How much more expensive is that peristaltic?
$60,000-$70,000 probably. Pretty expensive, but because you would have to redo all the piping.
You'd have to have a refit.
Yeah, you gotta have the refit. This thing will bolt right in, so.
You understand what a peristaltic pump does? You understand about peristaltic pump? You're scaling it down flows and it's like over in the tube and it pulls it up that
And
way.
then when you want to rebuild it, you just.
Pull the tube out
Exactly.
and you change it out.
It's a giant size peristaltic pump. The EPA was in there a couple weeks ago and they looked at it.
What the EPA think of it? Not good? They weren't. Okay.
It's not allowed to shoot stuff to the sea.
You know, Calvin, I'll just say to you about this whole thing, I wish you had been here last week, and maybe we would have done what we did then, or what would happen from there at that time. But also, too, you gave us a bid for this piston pump, but I also would have brought information about the peristaltic pump, too. Let us see both. Don't just assume. Let us see both and everything, so we can see what's going on. If there's any flyers, anything like that, any way to explanation, places we can go to, websites or whatever, to check this stuff out, so we can give, everybody can see what's going on.
As you say, you know, my time's limited. So
Well, I realize that.
can't run around and get bids on everything.
Well, I realize that, but you can get, you can give us a rough price and everything and say this is what it's going to be and all that.
Okay.
Is this a good allegation, or in regards to your budget?
I spent $13,000 last week on rebuilding the lift station. My budget didn't include that. My budget doesn't include, you know, a new pump. My budget doesn't include the aerators that are all broken out at the lift station.
How's our
My
water
pump-
system as a whole? I mean, the amount of money that we could pump into it,
The water or the wastewater?
both. I mean, obviously, I mean, the difference is almost $19,000. So, that is a big chunk.
And you don't know what's coming. So I don't know. You got to.
As of right now, we're not, I mean, the water rates, I'm correct on that, right? The water rates are not covering the expenses for the most part.
Is the
I mean, these are things that we need to take into consideration. Obviously, there are things that would be nice, like you said, it'd be nice to have a new pump and all of these things, but all of these things are very much real expenditures of the city and the taxpayers. So, ultimately, I think the question is going to be, is this rebuilt transmission going to be good enough, or, I mean, do we need this? And Mr. McKinley's point, I think, was at least right on. I don't know water systems. I know that when my kids leave the water on, my bill is really high. That's about as far as I know. When you send me something, I'm going off Calvin's the man. So, I need to know. But at the same time, at the end of the year, all these other problems and all these other issues that come up, these are very real expenditures. They're going to cost the city very real dollars. And every time that we put the Cadillac in, when something else could have at least, I don't know, taken care of the problem, these are dollars. So very real dollars. But
you guys have to make it. That's where I'm at.
We can put it back on the agenda. I think that
You have an infrastructure that was put in 1890 something. You've got a water main that runs down Washington Street that breaks frequently. You have them running down Market Street that break frequently. So foreseeing the future, I can't give you that.
No.
I don't know.
they're real dollars. But if you guys want it back on the agenda, we
Put it
will.
in 1987, it's old. There's a lot of broken stuff out there. The water plant, is aging and aging.
There was a question during a public comments about turning the water on for the BMX tracks. Do you have any, you have a stand on that?
I absolutely have a stand on that. To pour, we spend a lot of money filtering and putting fluoride in and softening the water. To put it on dirt, in my opinion, is a waste of your money. If you have an alternate source where you can get it out of the creek, then get it out of the creek. That's my opinion.
Can we set the BMX track up with drinking water and figure something else out for track water?
There's potable water out there at South Park.
I wouldn't drink it. It looks horrible.
There you go. So,
Any other questions to the city manager's report or the department head reports? Very good. Any non-agenda items?
I do have, there was a letter came through before the McKinleys came on where the chamber had asked for $1,000 for the Christmas parade. Somewhere that was lost.
No, not, the issue at hand is this, based on your recommendations and what we voted on in regards to the hotel motel tax, you can only make a request once per year. They made a request in October of 2016, so they are not going to be able to make another request until October 2017. I've already sent them an email letting them know that.
That was before or after we made the change?
It was, well, we made the change after the fact, but it's still, Joe, am I right, it's still,
You had not voted to approve that particular request. Is that a fair statement?
That is a
So
fair
therefore, when you made the change is in effect. The new policy is in effect.
Okay, but you're saying that the policy becomes retroactive.
No, the policy's not retroactive, but as of the moment you made the policy change, then your policy, which you can change, is that folks can only ask for one request a year, within a one-year period.
Beginning on the day the resolution passes, what I'm assuming. I think that's the way we
You
work
can't,
it.
within the budget, give a group that amount of money or any amount of money twice in a year. So that's their fiscal budget, and the fiscal year goes to what, April 30th, May 1st? So until the fiscal year's over, then they can't ask for any money, right? Or in October, whatever comes first.
you can ask for hotel motel tax money once per year. So they did it in October last year, so they're not eligible until October of this year.
That doesn't mean they're not gonna get it, they just want to,
Well,
that's the way to October. And I understand
It'll be on the agenda in October.
I just want to make sure that they're not being forgotten.
No.
they're not being forgotten, so we've been in conversation with them. That is what we voted on.
Okay, I have a couple of things.
Yes, sir.
One is the ponds and fairgrounds. When we got that, I wanted those because, we got that for the fact of the water bill and everything. But I want to see those things improve. Now, I had to leave here before I could ever get started on doing that, so not on my will, but I went to the DNR, to an office in Gibson City, to ask them about it, because I thought that's the place to go, but I don't think it is. I need to find a fish biologist for one thing, 'cause I'd like to see what, if they shock the pond, we can find some way to see it's not costing, just be a big burden to us. But also to shock it, see what's in there, whatever they do, whatever a fish biologist does, and to stop the pond if we can too. Because it is a great little asset, I think, to the community. It's opened up. I'd like to see maybe like kids fishing tournaments or whatever, something people go up there and use that. I use it, take my grandkids up there to fish and everything. It's a great place just to go someplace and do something good for you. The other thing about the ponds is that over the years, there's been a lot of growth up along the banks. A lot of sucker trees that come up and everything. And I said something to Terry about that, and I have taken that on my own self, and I go up there to fish, and I get tired of fighting it. So I take some nippers and I nip some of those things off. Now, I'd like to take more than nippers and go in there and take that stuff out of the bank and open that up more and more. And so I said something about, I'd go up there and help a couple of city employees here, and when I get a chance and everything, make arrangements to do that, to get that stuff taken out of there and make that a more usable place. And find out how to manage the pond so it is usable in the future. I don't know if there's any muskrats in there. I haven't seen any so far, but if it is, then find some way to trap it and get it taken care of. But it is a nice little asset. Another thing too is there used to be pavilions up there when that was built, and that was an FFA project by two individuals. One was Billy King and the other one was Mark Willis. And there used to be little huts up there. I would say just shelters. But the bank has eroded so much over the years. It's eroded back probably 20 feet from what it originally was. And that's why I want to see more maintenance on the place up there and open it up and make it useful to the public. The other thing is the hotel motel tax. Being a little naive about this thing, I didn't know how we collected that. Well, I found out it's done on the honor system. And I pay sales tax, and the state requires, I collect sales tax. I don't pay sales tax. I collect sales tax and forward it on to the Department of Revenue. But they have a form that we have to fill out, and it has to be in by the 20th of the month. And I guess I was naive to think that the hotel motel tax was kind of paid the same way by the hotel out here and everything, by the motels. And they pay it into the state, and then we get a check back from the state. But I guess that's not so. They just kind of look at the books and give you the number. I'm not sure what the percentage is, 3, 4%, 5?
Could be.
Yeah, that's the thing too. We don't know that, and so we just get a check. I think there needs to be something put into place so that these two places out here get the correct amount to us. Now, we can audit them, I guess, because I guess I can be audited. Can we be audited as a business by this Department of Revenue if we don't pay our share of the sales tax into the state? Is that right, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So, and they get pretty nasty about it if you don't do it. So I don't know what to do. And I would talk to the accounting firm. I think you should talk to
Get a
them.
copy of what they send into the state, what they're paying taxes on.
Well, okay.
That should tell you what the total.
Well, they should have the revenue for the month. We should have something. If they have something they have to send in, we should be getting a copy of that or whatever. Maybe they're not cheating us, but I want to make sure they're not cheating us. I think we should have a little more accountability around here for that.
Trying to be the easiest way right now.
Right, it's just a
The
copy
easiest
of
way is
their,
just a copy of their-
Copy of it right now, but there'd be a little bit more formal way of doing it and everything where they have to come back or find out from whoever. Maybe from the accounting firm that does our audit. They should be able to help us out with that, I think. I'm through.
Anybody else?
We talked about getting a engineering firm to look at the power lines and water out to the 20 acres. Last meeting, I think that was brought up.
I don't know if it was brought up at last meeting. I would strongly recommend that we wait until a new city manager is hired before we
Okay.
tackle such a project. Or at least even begin discussing it myself.
You sure you don't want to tackle that? Yeah, I agree, we need to wait.
When will that get posted?
It's posted now, but I we do expect the resolution for the pump. Already put in your packet? Okay, but I'll review it tomorrow, look at the resolution.
Special meeting June 12th.
Yeah.
Any other non-agenda items?
I think just for the benefit of staff, direction, thoughts from the council regarding the process you want for sale of 420 North John.
Yes.
Like an appraisal
The
process.
flexible way to do it.
Yeah.
Then what I'll suggest then is, Sandy, we can put together a resolution for not next Monday, but the following Monday. And I guess any other thoughts as far as, again, it's very flexible. Where advertised? Do you want an auction? Do you want a bid process? Or do you want to simply empower staff to simply negotiate with anybody who will come in the door?
Well, the bottom line I've had all along is I don't want to lose money on it. Whatever the city's got in it, I want out of it. We're not realtors. I'm not looking to make profit, but I don't want to lose money on it.
Have you guys looked at it?
It doesn't make any difference. I know what it looks like. The thing I bring up to you is I hold a real estate
You're
sales
gonna spend a
license.
lot
I'm
of
sorry.
money.
That's okay. That's our problem. I have a real estate sales license, and I suppose I have to disclose that if we're going to do this, don't I? I'm disclosing it now.
There you go.
I'm disclosing it now that I have a real estate sales license, so, and I don't know what, I know I have to do that, to let everybody know that. So you can put that in the note that it is somewhat agent owned.
Well,
I guess I just kind of want to see the appraisal and then maybe go from there, see what they say about that, and then kind of go from there, and then we'll see what the next step is, whether the auction or putting it up for another sealed bid and putting it in like maybe a little bit more major publication, newspapers that are more widely viewed by local people, because I don't know that, a whole lot of local people are using the Clinton Journal or whatever, so.
I don't know. We need regional coverage, I think. I don't know what the ads are going to run, but I mean, I don't know. We don't need just the local people to see it. We need anybody.
You can list it. You can list it with an agent. You can list it with a real estate firm.
correct. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm taking away is, we'll prepare a resolution for 2 Mondays from now that initiates the process for the appraisal route, but no other firm sort of direction at this point in time is what I'm hearing from the council. And that's fine. We'll then march that direction, and as the council has further refinement, tell us.
Any other non-agenda items? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Paul, everyone ready?
Coffee,
Yes?
Kelly,
Yes.
McKinley,
Yes.
Chesler,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yep.
motion carries.